Welcome everybody to the Guiding Star webcast tonight on a really exciting development that we have going on here at Guiding Star. I'm Leah Jacobson. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Guiding Star Project. I'm so excited and grateful that you're here joining us tonight for this really vital conversation about the future of women's healthcare in our country, and really, in some ways, the future of the pro-life movement. If we're going to be responding in a holistic, comprehensive way to women, we have to be connecting healthcare in our pro-life work. So tonight, we're going to be discussing a really important upstream solution that's really important right now, specifically because we're in this post-Dobbs era, and why we need to have a full spectrum wraparound care model, and why that's going to be the most effective thing with pro-life medicine. So what this looks like practically in centers that are on the ground serving women. Tonight, you're going to hear from incredible leaders on the front lines. I'm so excited by the guests that are waiting backstage. I've got some incredible people here that are going to be joining me very shortly. We've got some activists, we've got some visionaries, some speakers, some true experts. And they're going to be sharing with you the work that they're doing every day to help build this fearless future for women on the front lines. And this future that we're trying to build for women, this future that we're casting, this fearless future that no woman would fear pregnancy. It's a future that really honors the natural design of the female body. You guys hear me talk about this all the time. With my book, Holistic Feminism, I'm always talking about the body is not the problem. Women's bodies are not the problem. And so it's our job here at Guiding Star, and we hope you'll join us in this job, to remove shame and judgment and suppression of women's naturally beautiful bodies. So before we kick off and begin, I know you're all waiting to hear from my guests, but I'd really like to begin this evening with a quick prayer. I want to pray for our technology and just pray for all of us joined here together tonight, and pray that you find something really helpful and meaningful in this conversation, something valuable. So in order to do that, I'm going to invite you actually to pray a very special prayer for us here at Guiding Star. This prayer in particular, it's called the Guiding Star Prayer. And I wrote it several years ago in prayer, and it is something that we have given to all of our centers. So all of our affiliate locations of Guiding Star pray this prayer. It's printed. It's in their chapels. Some of our centers do it daily as a staff. And so I want to invite you, our supporters and our friends, to join me to see and pray the Guiding Star Prayer along with me. All right. Creator of the universe, we humbly come before you today to offer our talents and gifts to your service. Please use each of us to do your will. We see the goodness of all you have made, especially in your most beloved creation, the human person. No part of any person you created was a mistake. We know that you made man and woman to complement and complete the whole image of your love. You gave us one another for companionship and comfort, and we know that our minds, bodies, and spirits were meant for authentic relationship with one another. Assist us in our efforts to restore wholeness to each human person. We dedicate ourselves to sharing this good news with all those we meet, so that they can understand, embrace, and love every human being made in your image and likeness. Help us all to be guiding stars in our homes, families, and communities, sources of warm and inviting light. May we serve as hopeful beacons to those living in darkness, and may our actions bring dignity to all we encounter. Loving Creator, guide all people to the fullness of truth, and may our world experience the depths of your love. Amen. Oh, so thank you. Thank you for that. Well, we're going to dive right in. I'm going to set the stage a little bit with what's been going on. If you haven't been paying attention recently to what's happening with women's healthcare in this post-Dobbs era, I really want to help get you up to speed. There was an incredibly important research study that was released very recently, just a few weeks back, from the Ethics and Public Policy Center. So the EPPC released their findings after they basically did a meta-analysis. They were able to acquire 330 million insurance claims from a 7-year period from 2016 to 2023. And they found that 865,000 cases of the abortion pill, they tracked adverse events directly attributable to the abortion pill. They found a 22 times higher incidence of adverse events than what the FDA reported when they did the initial approval of the drug. I'm going to say that one more time. So they looked at over 330 million insurance claims from a 7-year period, and they found a 22 times higher incidence of adverse events related to using the abortion pill than what the FDA reported when they did the initial approval of the drug. That's alarming and that's frightening. But what does that really mean? Well, it means that women are clearly in trouble, and it means that we're not being given the full information about the dangers of the abortion pill. Abortion is still being touted as healthcare, even though it's producing incredibly high numbers of adverse events for many women. And so we're going to bring on our first guest right away. We're not going to beat around the bush here. We want to bring on someone who knows this topic very well, inside and out. I want to welcome to our webcast Myra Rodriguez, who is a former Planned Parenthood director. We're going to hear from Myra directly about healthcare and Planned Parenthood and their version of women's healthcare. So welcome, Myra. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Yeah, we're
it's such an honor.
So grateful. So some people may not know you, may not be familiar with your work, but as a former Planned Parenthood director, obviously you initially would have championed abortion as something that every woman would deserve access to. But eventually, I'm assuming somehow you came to see the truth about the dangers and maybe the lies that women are experiencing. Can you briefly share with us your story of just realizing why abortion isn't healthcare?
Yeah, so for over 16 years, I dedicated myself to work for the non-abortion side, right? The side that they keep telling us it's 90% of their services, 97% of the services, right? For all these years, I became really a defender of reproductive rights, a defender of women's right to choose, right? Offering women the abortion. And just like you said it's just a pill, like Tylenol. You're going to have like a period and then you'll go back to normal. The surgery, 15 minutes, recovery, and you'll go home. Tomorrow you can do your life as usual. To the point to say to women, it's less dangerous than carrying your baby to full term. Do you have less risk than giving birth to a baby, right? While did I believe that myself? No, I had beautiful children, never had an abortion, right? So, but here I am selling women the idea that abortion is their saving element, right? That once they do the abortion, their back will be back to normal. And Leah, I promise you that for many years, I created this fantasy world that I imagined that woman that I sent for the abortion to live happily ever after, right? In my head, I'm like, she probably finished high school, went to college, became a doctor, a lawyer, right? Because another thing, being a mom is not enough, right? Being just a mom is not enough in the world, right? Especially in that movement, right? Yeah. But to the point, Leah, that I was trained to go into my community, the Hispanic, the Latinos, and train women how to hide the birth control from your husband, how to lie about the abortion, how to make it seem it was just a miscarriage, right? And you have heard that. You show the statistic. Can you imagine? Those are the statistics of the people we know that went and said, I took the pill. But imagine the women that didn't say they took the pill, that were trained, like I just told you I used to do, and lie about their abortion and just say I was pregnant and miscarriaging, and how dangerous that is, right? But you were right. One of my wake-up calls was, for many years, I told women that pill was safe as Tylenol. You will bleed like 3 days. When you feel that big blood clot, go pass it out on the toilet and you'll be done. That's it, that big blood clot. Now, do you imagine, here I am, the director, and as the director, I get some of the phone calls in the middle of the night, right, when they're not so serious for the uncle person to take it, or just as a backup. Here I am taking phone calls of women saying, you guys told me I was just going to bleed a little bit. I think I'm dying. And you're hearing that young woman literally feeling like she's dying. And you're trained to dismiss that and tell her, put your feet up, take some ibuprofen and a heating pad, call me in the morning, you'll be better. Right? Like, this is not a big deal. Or you told me when I feel that big blood clot, pass it out on the toilet and flush it, but I didn't make it to the toilet and it's not a big clot. It's a baby. Like, I can see a face and hands and feet. Still flush it down to the toilet. Can you imagine that trauma causing to that woman in the middle of the night? But that wasn't all. I saw the complications going reported, perforations done daily on women. I saw the corruption inside the abortion industry, and that quickly opened my eyes, Leah, because I only lasted 10 months as the director. They fired me, I sued them, I won, and of that part of my story, right? But guess what? I come out of it, and I just told you I worked for them for 17 years. I was the director. I was the training coordinator. I was the director of multiple centers, director of abortion facility, and I didn't know that Planned Parenthood gets billions of dollars. I thought I was working for a nonprofit, Leah. No,
Yeah.
that's not. Yeah, the
Well,
millions of dollars they get, right?
actually, that's interesting. I had actually just kind of, I was wondering what Planned Parenthood recently had gotten from the federal government, because, I've heard over the years that they get all this money from the government. And so was looking at their annual report from 2022-23 during that time period. So in that year, Planned Parenthood performed 155,000 abortion procedures. And I would assume that those were actually, from this annual report, I don't think those were actually chemical abortions. I think those are surgical abortion numbers, but that's a lot of abortions. So people that are trying to say, oh, no, they're just women's health, they hardly do any of abortions, they don't do abortions. Well, they do a lot of abortions. And for that, $799.2 million in federal taxpayer funding was received in that time.
I didn't know that. And I worked for them, Leah. I learned about that when I left Planned Parenthood. I learned the power they had globally, the affiliates they have globally, in all their business, the true business behind Planned Parenthood, right? And how the most important thing was abortion. How do I know that? Because when I came with my complaints about the abortion, you think they care no matter what. So when I came, they should have cared no matter what and fired or done something about the abortions, but they didn't. I was sharing another podcast that it's like when you came and tell someone something they already know, there's no surprise in their face when you're complaining about what you're seeing. Like there was no surprise in my supervisor, just that it's okay, keep doing your job, I'll take care of it. And they never took care of it. So when I left Planned Parenthood, and I started a lawsuit, and it wasn't just to be Myra, the one who beat Planned Parenthood in court. I mean, that's great, don't get me wrong, but it was because I needed something behind me, because now I have that word that people cannot deny that happened, right? I have a case behind me, and now I get to work for the real side, the side that helps women, right? The side that truly needs. And what do we truly need? You said it on the introduction, right? The pro-life movement, Planned Parenthood right now says, do not defund us. We do more than abortions. We're full healthcare, when we know they're not, right? I know they're not. I know what they offer, right? But to beat Planned Parenthood, we truly have to find a place. You know how hard it was for me to not be able to guide women to a proper place for many years. Like literally, they said, I want to be pregnant. Well, I cannot help you with that, but here's a list of places. Good luck, right? And dismiss them, right? Or that woman that is miscarriaging and has no other place to go than Planned Parenthood or another doctor that it's not going to care what she feels, what's happening to her, right? So the need for us to be a fully medical facility that guides women to the truth of pregnancy and not making them feel that pregnancy is more risky than an abortion when it's not true, right? Because that's what I was trained to do. I was trained to tell women, you carrying that baby puts your life at risk more than if you just go and kill it right now. When in fact, that's not true. It is not true.
Well, and we see, they're very comfortable with, downplaying adverse effects. I mean, that's really what's so important about this EPPC study, to see a 22 times higher incidence of negative outcomes associated than what was previously reported from the FDA. So this idea of what is healthy for women in healthcare and that abortion somehow equals healthcare, I think we've been, talking about this for a long time, that the natural body, that is, it takes a healthy body to get pregnant. It takes a healthy body to carry pregnancy. Like, we can trust a healthy body to do what it's supposed to do. And there's so much just natural wisdom built into our bodies as women, that when we get out of the way, in a sense, our health improves. And when we support our bodies, when we support our natural health in our bodies. So just really quickly, I mean, I think I could actually just talk to you all night, Myra, about this, because I get really fired up about it when I hear, very suppressive, very damaging, very destructive practices equated with flourishing and with healthcare, and that these are needed for us. These are needed for us to be
and that we need to pay for them.
Oh,
on
yeah,
top of
that we need to pay for them, that everybody needs to pay for them. The entire country needs to pay for them with our taxes. But I guess maybe there's the last kind of thing I just want to ask you is, how do we change this narrative? As somebody who's been on the inside, who had bought the narrative, who had, hook, line, and sinker, thought abortion is healthcare and we need healthcare. What do you think we do to start changing this narrative?
Well, what we need is find places, have places. I mean, one thing I love about pregnancy centers is that you walk in there and women and the people that are greeting you are happy. I didn't have that in my center. No one looked happy working at Planned Parenthood, right? And you can see that because there's a lot of complaints on Google about how awful treatment women get at Planned Parenthood, right? But how do you beat Planned Parenthood? How do you beat abortion? Well, you show them the good side of carrying a pregnancy and good places and places where they can give women the care they deserve, right? Not only the places that will support them to classes and diapers. I think to me, a full medical place where a woman can be seen from A through C, right? And then and beyond. I mean, I know I talked to you, Leah, about a dream where I said I want that woman that when she gave birth, she doesn't feel ashamed or alone to go and says, I feel so tired that I don't know what I'm going to do. And she finds a place that will take her concerns valid and walk with her through those first few weeks of the baby, right? The newborn time, right? When they feel so tired, right? A place where women can feel the opposite that they feel when they go to Planned Parenthood, right? When Planned Parenthood, what do they offer you? And one thing I have said it is that if you have an abnormal pap smear, that Planned Parenthood won't take care of you ever. If you want to continue your pregnancy, they're not going to help you. If you want to do an adoption, if you had a miscarriage, they don't help you. They don't treat you the way a woman should be treated. We need to create that place for women that they will find that, right? That they will find the consolation, that they will find the treatment. Not only, I'm not talking about the physical treatment and the medical behind it, but the morality, the view of what a woman truly deserves. The opposite of Planned Parenthood. I mean, that's my idea of a pro-life movement, right? To show them, right, that a woman pregnancy, it's beautiful, and there's a place for you that you will see that. Especially so many doctors nowadays dismissing women so quickly. The first abnormality on their pregnancy, they're quick to offer them an abortion. The first complication, right? Eclampsia. I remember I had eclampsia with my daughter in 99. I mean, I couldn't even imagine if my doctor would have suggested that on me, right? She didn't, thank God, but now they do. Right now they do. A woman has any kind of complication and they tell her abortion is what you need. Yeah, you could just have an abortion, so we need to create that space, the space that does not do that really truly pro-life space for women. That's my idea, which I know is yours too.
Well, it's our idea too. It's that's why we get along so well, Myra. That's why I love talking with you about this. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for all the work that you were doing in this space. We're so grateful. And we're so happy that you've come over to work with us on our side on these issues.
Thank you for having me. I adore you and I admire you all in this team. So thank you so much for having me. Keep up the good work. You're in my prayers and God's with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Myra. Oh, I honestly could talk with her all night because as somebody who has been truly on the inside as a director of a Planned Parenthood clinic, our conversations are always just so affirming to the work that we're doing here at Guiding Star. And so I want to talk a little bit more about this before I bring my next guest in. I'm going to bring in a dear friend in just a moment to talk about the need for us to support women in pregnancy loss. But before we get to that, we have to recognize that women really aren't being given full health care. In a sense, it's an epidemic, a crisis of misdiagnosis, underdiagnosis, and overdiagnosis because we're getting the problems all wrong. We're blaming women's bodies for things that may not actually be the problem, but yet we're completely overlooking what the real problems are. Anyone who has gone in with a complaint related to their menstrual cycle and has been handed the pill as the easy solution understands the frustration of women right now in our country at this moment in time. We want real health care. Instead of being handed prescriptions for pills that cover up our symptoms, that don't get to the root causes, and procedures that completely alter and suppress the functions of our body, we want upstream solutions. We want a holistic care model that starts to work with us when we're little girls. We want to be seen as an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old girl and have somebody look us in the eye and tell us, you are not the problem. This is good. This is a sign of health. You are good. And so I'm happy to share with you our holistic women's healthcare encompassing life wheel, we call this. And there is a beautiful white paper to go along with this. If you'd like to read more about our approach to healthcare, you can find it on our website. But this model really connects the dots between fertility, pregnancy, childbirth, breastfeeding, and motherhood, which if you've been following Guiding Star for very long, you know those are the core services of every Guiding Star center. They have to provide core services in those areas. And this holistic women's healthcare model is our full spectrum, life-affirming approach that really sees the body as good and brilliantly designed and interconnected. So we work hard to educate women as young as age 9, and we walk them all the way through every stage of her life. Those transition points where you become a young, fertile woman, that when you become a sexually active, fertile woman, when you are now in the family planning phase of life, when you are now welcoming babies, you are pregnant, you are having a baby, you are breastfeeding. Every time something changes, we transition into a new version of ourselves. And it's important that we have somebody alongside us to help stay true to our life-affirming principles and to our beliefs and our values, because at every one of those transition points, we become incredibly vulnerable to the other side telling us that we're not good enough. We can't do this. Something's wrong with us. And so this is what our full all-encompassing care model looks like. Please check it out on our website. You can download the white paper. We'd love your feedback on it. I'm going to jump forward to Miss Cheney Mullins, a dear friend of mine I want to introduce to you in just a second here. Cheney has been a good friend of ours for many years, working with Heaven's Gain Ministry, previously with her plan. But I'm going to have her come on and talk about just the importance of caring for women in loss. Because you know what we're getting to. We're talking about our care kits tonight. That we're going to be talking about women who may have chosen intentionally to end a pregnancy and how devastating that can be for them and how to walk alongside them. But prior to that, we have to acknowledge that losses are happening all the time. And we here at Guiding Star have been dedicated to providing miscarriage support for women. And so I want to bring Cheney in because the organization she is working with right now is one of the best at supporting women in periods of loss. So Cheney, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks, Leah.
Yes. So you've been incredibly collaborative with us as we've been creating these care kits down in what's happening in the Southwest, which we're going to get to in just a little bit. We have Mark Cavalier and Jessica Fuentes will be sharing what's happening there in real time. But I want you to help me set the stage a little bit on just this gap in women's healthcare. Something Myra said when she was speaking about that women are told to just downplay their abortions. They're told it's just a clump, you just flush it, it's not a big deal. And it made me think a little bit about all the women that have had miscarriages that have sort of assimilated the same approach, that we don't talk about that. Do you see that in your work with Heaven's Gain and miscarriage and loss support? You want to share anything about that?
Absolutely. So Heaven's Gain Ministries, we are a pregnancy, loss, miscarriage, and stillbirth and early infant death ministry. And we serve the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs of these families facing loss. We actually call it disenfranchised grief, which is a grief that society has failed to acknowledge. And that's what you're talking about with how miscarriage and stillbirth is just underplayed. People don't acknowledge it as a legitimate loss. They might not even acknowledge it as a legitimate life. And that's where it ties so closely into the pro-life movement. In fact, our founder, Donna Murphy, felt like she really heard from the Lord that first, women with their miscarriages have to grow and learn to heal in order for women with their abortions to be able to learn to heal. And of course, we're not saying that miscarriage and abortion are the same thing. They're very different losses. But the common denominator is the dignity of that unborn life. And we all have to learn how to acknowledge the unborn as a life. And that means we acknowledge the loss of pregnancy loss, that there is a life lost. So frequently, women are just told either miscarry at home with very little instruction and very little help, and then flush the toilet, or they're told come and show up for a D&C surgery. They're not told what that entails and how the baby will not come out intact. They're not given burial options, and they're not walked through, hey, is this a medically necessary D&C, or is this doctor's preference instead of woman's preference? And it really should be the woman's preference if there's no other medical indication. And so why are we not burying these babies? Why are we not catching them like our miscarriage kits and now the C.A.R.E kits allow? And why are we not even using these beautiful dignified vessels that we have at Heaven's Gate? You can give a big one of these to a doctor after a D&C surgery, and they can actually collect the remains and bury that baby as well. And that should be the norm in our society, not the exception.
Well, I want to share, I mean, this is very personal to me. We had our first miscarriage 2 years ago. And first of all, it was kind of a big surprise. Like after you've had 7 pregnancies and they've all just gone just fine, and then all of a sudden you have a loss. Like I remember being just really kind of, you don't have a lot of time, like from the point where you have the ultrasound and there's no heartbeat, or to the point where maybe you started bleeding. You don't have a lot of time. And if you don't have the resources right there on hand, if you don't know what to do, it's very disorienting. And so I want to just say Heaven's Gate, actually, I had a dear friend that stepped in, my dear friend Danielle. She had a beautiful kit sent to me overnighted. It was so fast, with the most beautiful burial vest. I know you think you have some of them there with you, but
yes,
that was one of the most beautiful gifts that was ever given to me ever, was this wooden burial coffin for our baby, you know, this tiny 9-week-old baby, you know, like not a lot there. And a lot of people would probably not have, you know, been surprised if we had flushed. And, but to be able to bury our baby and to have a mass and a funeral and just an actual, acknowledgement was really special and really important. And so that was one of my first kind of real interactions and introductions to Heaven's Gate. And so I'm just so grateful for the work that you do personally in my own life. It was a huge, huge gift to us to be connected with you at that moment. So thank you for that.
I'm so sorry for the loss of your precious baby, Leah. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Well, thank you. We're expecting again.
Rainbow baby. For those that don't know, the rainbow baby is the baby after the storm of loss. And it's a beautiful meaning for the rainbow. And we're all praying for you, Leah, in your rainbow baby pregnancy. We actually have a rainbow baby support group. We have a support group for loss and then a support group for rainbow baby pregnancies, just because there can be more anxiety and questions.
I was just going to say that actually, because this is the first pregnancy after a loss. And I have found myself just a little bit more on edge or more nervous than I've ever been in my life. And so these are things that are so important for us to talk about. So, I mean, it was a natural miscarriage or natural, abortion. So that's the other, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about that. The nomenclature, the words. Sometimes people are very confused. Right after Dobbs, we saw a lot of this, that we're going to be criminalizing miscarriage, that women having miscarriages are going to be prosecuted. Can you just share a little bit about maybe that confusion between induced abortions and just share.
Well, I just try to have a heart of compassion for these women that are afraid that they won't be able to get any kind of treatment for a miscarriage in a post-war America. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth. All 50 states allow any miscarriage intervention of any kind. In addition, every state allows any intervention of any kind in a medical emergency where a woman's life is at risk. So even if it was a heart still beating, but you had to intervene to save the mother's life, even that is legal. And then, of course, once the baby has already died, it is completely legal to have a D&C or an induction or a D&E or any other intervention that the doctor and the mom feels is right. Maybe she wants to induce labor at home and still give birth at home, but be helped by induction drugs. I think the source of the confusion really comes from the fact that, unfortunately, our medical coding codes a miscarriage as a spontaneous abortion, whereas typically when we hear the word abortion, the way we mean it in the public context is that it's an elective induced abortion. And so these elective abortions and spontaneous abortions look similar in the medical codes, but of course they're completely different because in one case, the life was intentionally taken, and in the other, the baby died naturally. And so it's just really important that we state that women can and should seek medical treatment if they need to from a miscarriage we actually have, as part of our miscarriage kit, a way to measure blood loss. And that's really important because then a woman can go back to her medical provider and she can report how much blood she's been losing if she's miscarrying during the first trimester at home. And then they can make a plan for her ongoing follow-up medical care, or maybe if she needs an emergency intervention, go ahead and go to the hospital for that. So that's just a really important and distinctive part of the Heaven's Gain miscarriage kit.
No, thank you for that. Just that we had a lot of questions about that. There's been a lot of misinformation, I think, about the difference between spontaneous abortion versus an elective abortion. But even though they may begin very differently, the end result is often the same. That we have a little life that is no longer, and we have a little body, and we have a mother who is now entering a postpartum phase of she's delivered, this pregnancy has ended. And that's the reality that we're talking about tonight, that we've already been in the business of caring for women dealing with natural, spontaneous losses. And we're seeing in this post-Dobbs era right now, I think, an increased need with the increase in the chemical abortion pills for women to be cared for. So Cheney, I actually want to just share I think we have an image of one of you shared with us the burial items, but I think we actually have an image of one of your miscarriage kits. I'm going to pop it up here.
Yes, so this is our miscarriage kit. This is for use for a first trimester at-home miscarriage. And you can see here that it includes the blood loss measurement pan that I was talking. We use a urine hat or specimen hat for that. And then the colander actually fits in that. And we have a YouTube video that anyone can watch that walks them through exactly how to use this kit. And then we also have a hotline. We can't give medical advice on the hotline, but we can give information about the kit. And so you can call 513-888-4200, and we can help you 16 hours a day. And there'll be someone who's a trained advocate for parents of perinatal loss on that hotline. So if you have any questions, you are not alone in this. You are not being abandoned. We want to walk you through how to tell the difference between the blood clot you might be seeing, the placenta you might be seeing, and then your actual baby's body, which is usually identifiable starting at around 6 weeks gestation.
So helpful. So again, one more time, Cheney, you're with Heaven's Gain Ministries, and the best way for them to find you?
Yes, heavensgain.org. You can email me at cheney@heavensgain.org. And I really just applaud the Guiding Star Project for beginning this conversation with miscarriage and with loss, because you all have a holistic vision of all the women's health needs. Again, we're not saying that miscarriage and abortion are the same. We're just saying that they both belong under the umbrella of a holistic women's healthcare solution. And so a lot of groups that are interested in the care kit maybe are only interested because it's part of the pro-life movement as they define it, which is strictly just ending abortion. And Guiding Star has that bigger vision that you're not just anti-abortion, you're truly pro-life and pro-woman. And so I think it's really important, if an organization is considering using the care kit, to also be offering miscarriage kits and also be caring for women with natural losses, even if that's not their usual clientele, even if they're starting with an options counseling appointment for an abortion-minded or vulnerable woman. Those women face pregnancy losses too. And it is not good to abandon our clients or just give them a brochure and send them on their way when they're facing the difficulty of pregnancy loss. So I hope you will refer to us directly, copy her on an email with me, call the hotline with or for her, really directly transfer her to the care she needs, or contact me about bringing that care right into your center or organization.
Yeah, and I before I let you go really quick, I think would be remiss, not to mention that we're seeing also these care kits. Part of what's happening is that because these are induced abortions, the baby is alive at the beginning of this, and that there is the potential for that baby's life to be preserved, to be spared, to be saved with quick intervention with the abortion pill reversal. So I just want to mention that really quick. I know Heaven's Gain is working with some really great groups right now that are working hard to make this APR available. Really quickly, are there any that we should be aware of?
So I would say that there is an APR hotline that anyone can call if a woman is interested in undergoing abortion pill reversal, which is where she's taken the first but not the second drug in the abortion pill regimen. And it's successful over 60% of the time. So there really is a good chance that this baby might be able to be saved. And so I highly recommend the APR hotline and also My Catholic Doctor, which is online telehealth that can get women that progesterone prescription to help reverse the effects of that first abortion drug. And that's what's so powerful about the C.A.R.E kit, because a woman looking at the C.A.R.E kit, realizing that she's going to be losing blood at home, realizing that she's going to see potentially a baby's body if she's 6 weeks or more, that is a big deal. And if she's 6 to 12 weeks pregnant and going home, having taken the abortion pill, she's usually very unprepared. We just talked about how little Planned Parenthood prepares women for the reality of abortion. And so we have that opportunity to intervene at that moment and encourage her to undergo abortion pill reversal. And I can't wait for Mark and Jessica to talk about how that's actually working in real time on the sidewalk.
Well, I am very excited as well to get to them. I'm gonna let you go, Cheney. If there are any other, please contact Heaven's Gain Ministry with any other comments. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much, Cheney.
Thank you.
Okay, so like Cheney said, she's excited to hear from Mark and Jessica in El Paso, where this kit is really being pioneered, where we're really putting it out there and actually working with women who are abortion vulnerable, who have actually taken the abortion pill. We will get to them in just a second. Stay tuned. Sit tight. I actually have a surprise tonight. For those of you that have been following, we were actually going to do this webcast about a week ago. And then we had a big surprise at Guiding Star when our president, Lisa Canning, unexpectedly had her baby a couple of weeks early. And so Lisa is here with us tonight. So welcome.
Hi. And look who I get to show you. This is Cecilia Ann. And she came into the world very quickly and a little bit early, but very well-sized at 8 pounds and 6 ounces.
She was ready, Lisa. She was fully baked. This baby was ready. Oh, congratulations. We are so thrilled. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know this is your maternity leave time, so we want you to get back to all the baby snuggles. We want you to do that very quickly, but we just had to have you come on for this announcement because this has been a recent development in the last couple of weeks here. We've firmed everything up. So I'm going to hand it over to you to make a very special announcement for us.
And of course, we have to use the big announcement banner because it's like my favorite when we do these things. All of these little graphics and gizmos are my favorite thing. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to witness what's going on tonight. When you have this very precious, vulnerable time, I've also miscarried a baby. We always talk about our baby. The kids are like, we've got 12 kids in our family, because they always count the baby that we lost and I never really got to hold. So this is a tender time. This is an important conversation, and this is an important conversation in the context of what's happening today and why women need this type of care. And so it just makes me proud to be here with my baby in my arms and also be watching and cheering on. We have a very exciting announcement, and it involves the great state of Minnesota. We want to invite you to all save the date for our Peace on Earth Gala. Peace on Earth begins with birth, and it is happening. We want to invite you to save the date for December 12, 2025 in Cross Lake, Minnesota. Cross Lake is a town very close to where our Guiding Star headquarters are located, very close to Leah's hometown, not too far from the Twin Cities, and is going to just be a beautiful event. We want to encourage you. Minnesota is beautiful in December, everyone. Okay, get your snow gear on. We are going to have a great time celebrating and really just spending time together as a community. to celebrate life. It's a very important date, December 12th. It was not a unintentional date. It's the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And Leah, why is this such an important date to you personally?
Well, we just got back actually. We just visited the shrine this spring, Our Lady of Guadalupe, and I unknowingly, so she is the patroness of the Americas, but she's also the protector of the unborn is one of her titles, Our Lady of Guadalupe. The story, those of you that are not familiar with it, converted all of Mexico basically in the period of 5 years, and moved the culture away from one of child sacrifice to one of child like reverence and loving and accepting new life. And so Our Lady of Guadalupe is often called the protectors of the unborn. And I was there unknowingly, roughly 10 days pregnant. So I came home from the shrine and didn't feel real good. Took a pregnancy test, and sure enough, she was protecting the unborn while I was there. So it's very special to me. Our Lady of Guadalupe has been a good friend of ours.
And so December 12th, okay, so I'll have my baby there. She'll be a little bit bigger than this, but Leah on December 12th will have what? Like this size.
Old.
Yeah, this size, like literally this size. So that's all the more reason we will both need baby holders. So come to Cross Lake, Minnesota. Get your tickets for our gala. We will be announcing more details, like where you can purchase your ticket and all that very soon.
We have an incredible speaker lined up and a special guest. So we'll start announcing all that very soon. But
December 12th, save the date. We can't wait to see you in Cross Lake, Minnesota. Leah, thank you for having me. And it is just, I'm cheering all of us on because this work is so important and so essential today.
Lisa, no, having your baby here is like the ultimate reminder of why we do this work.
Yeah.
Like, each little baby deserves to be loved and smooched on and snuggled and held so preciously, like your little Cecilia is.
And the care that women need in all stages of their fertile years. I'm obviously, it's tender, like the postpartum stage is such an interesting, tender, very emotional, very physically demanding as well. But this whole, lifelong encompassing care, it's just, as we've been talking about all evening, we can't just have care in these little pockets of our life. We need it for the entire duration of our motherhood and our mothering journey.
And the lactation consultant in me and the postpartum care person in me is like, Lisa Canning, you go put that baby to breast.
I'm done. We're going to go snuggle. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. I'm so happy that she was able to join us. I'm always like, Lisa, are you sure? Are you sure? And she's like, yes, I feel so good. So we were happy that she could introduce little Cecilia to you tonight and share with you our upcoming gala. So please be with us in December on the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. I am going to invite in just a moment Mark Cavalier to the stage here. I'm going to have him share. Jessica Cifuentes is running just a little bit behind tonight. And so I'm going to have Mark share some work that Jessica, who is on his staff, who he works very close with, some work that she's been doing at our Guiding Star Southwest location that really, truly encapsulates what we've been talking about, this upstream approach, the entire center at Guiding Star. So it'll be great to have Mark talk with you about what's all happening at the center and Guiding Star. And then we can share specifically about the development of these care kits. We've been talking about these care kits. You've probably been getting the emails about the care kits, and you may be like, well, what exactly is it? You're talking about a miscarriage. Is it a miscarriage kit? Like, what is this care kit? Like, how does this work? So I'm going to invite Mark to join us right now. Oh, there we are. Hello, Mark.
Hello. How are you?
Good. If Jessica happens to hop into the studio, I'm going to pull her up to share in this
Please
conversation.
do. Absolutely.
Because I know that Jessica has been really at the heart of kind of pioneering this approach to women. Share with us a little bit about Guiding Star Southwest. You are unique in your two locations, the one in El Paso and then the other in Las Cruces. And the location in Las Cruces specifically is really why these care kits were created, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're the only Guiding Star affiliate currently in the Southwest region, which we do want to change soon. But our main headquarters is in El Paso, Texas, which is our more robust facility that includes birthing suites, working with in-house midwives, and it's an amazing facility. Now even with a cafe, coffee shop, child watch, the whole works. But we do have a satellite facility that is in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Happens to be right next door to the formerly called the Jackson Women's Health Organization, which was the abortion business that sued the state of Mississippi, went to the Supreme Court, lost their case of Dobbs versus Jackson, and when they could no longer operate in Mississippi, moved and relocated to our backyard in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And so we were able to get a small satellite office right next door because they are now renamed the Las Cruces Women's Health Organization. And interestingly, they call themselves this Women's Health Organization, but guess what? They offer only one service, and of course, that is abortion. The state of New Mexico has unrestricted abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy up to the moment of delivery for any reason at all, even subsidized by state tax dollars. And then meanwhile, our El Paso affiliate is in the state of Texas, where abortion is now restricted and lives are protected from the moment of conception. And so we're in a really interesting dynamic, literally the two most extreme states, really. And so we're seeing 15,000 women a year drive from Texas to New Mexico, where they're getting both surgical as well as now an increase in chemical abortions. And so what's happening is because of that dynamic where women have invested so much time and money in traveling to New Mexico for an abortion. Oftentimes they have to catch a flight in a few hours to get back home. They're not open to counseling and sidewalk outreach. And we operate, our Guiding Star Southwest Center operates alongside some other sister organizations and entities. One of those is an organization called Her Care Connection, which is our sidewalk outreach and mobile ultrasound division. And but even now, following Dobbs, the free ultrasounds that used to help change minds, very few women are now even interested in, and they're just saying, I don't have time for that. I've already had an ultrasound. 62% of the women are already mothers who are having abortions. They already have children. They've felt babies kick. They've seen these they've seen ultrasounds before, but they're just feeling like they can't go through this again. Like they've been through some kind of birth traumas or postpartum struggles, and so we're there reaching out. Oftentimes because they're being given this chemical abortion pill, and really we've seen the number of conversations just kind of plummet since this Dobbs decision with this new dynamic. So our president, Jessica Cifuentes, she was really inspired one evening that by the time we're talking to the women, they've already taken this first pill. Like the counseling approach, the sidewalk outreach approach, it just wasn't working. So because we have a Guiding Star Medical Center, we had already been providing miscarriage kits. That's something that my wife and I had experienced. And I remember wishing that we had something like this resource to be prepared for what that meant, both the physical process of what to expect, as well as the emotional support, the spiritual support. And so we've been providing these miscarriage kits. And she thought, if someone has already taken that first pill, they've initiated this process that this abortion is going to happen. This baby and the abortion industry, the facility, they're just saying, like you heard from Myra, just go in the bathroom, sit on the toilet, don't look, and flush. Thousands of these babies are getting flushed down the toilet, and because of this chemical abortion pill, all of these women are being traumatized. Many of them not able to go back into their own bathrooms because this has basically become the abortion center now, and they have this trauma that they carry from this. So at the very least, we felt if we can increase the odds of having this baby collected and treated with dignity and buried, and then also it's an opportunity to have a conversation with a mom about abortion pill reversal, that it's not too late to undo this through progesterone treatment, and then if she does go through with this, to collect the baby, not only to dignify and humanize the baby for their purpose, but also for hers. If she's humanizing this child, she's less likely to make this mistake a second time and have another abortion in her future. And so Jessica started offering these kits only to women who'd already taken that first pill and initiated this process, to say, hey, they're not preparing you in this facility for what's about to happen. Let's walk through what's going to happen. Here's an instructional booklet that educates you what they did not tell you about the kit. Here's all the supplies, the collection pan to put in your toilet, the filter to help, strain through, the blood to measure your blood loss, first of all, make sure you're okay. When you need to go seek medical treatment, that's critical. And also telling them, make sure that that's the case, that you are honest and you tell the doctor in the hospital why you're there, because the abortion facilities are telling them to lie. We have our local abortionist on camera in a news interview saying, yeah, I tell women going back to Texas to lie and say that they just experienced a natural miscarriage. And that's a completely different care plan that she's going to receive with not necessarily the same urgency of someone who's taken the chemical abortion pill. And so, but what that does is it also skews the data of the reality about the abortion pill and how many women are in fact experiencing malpractice and emergencies because of this. So the CARE kit has first of all, let's talk. The name CARE kit actually stands for a chemical abortion recovery and evaluation. And so we're helping her to recover her child, to bury her child with dignity, and also evaluate her health physically, spiritually, mentally, and through all of this process. When we really put this kid in her hands, it suddenly makes this real. What formerly was just this crisis, scared mentality that was out of fear that I just want to be not pregnant. I want to undo this. Suddenly, when you start talking about measuring blood loss and identifying tissue, the difference between the placenta and your baby, suddenly this becomes real. And it's like, whoa, hold on a minute. I didn't really think about all of this part that the abortion facility is not telling me. So it helps her to pause. And then we can say, but guess what? It's not too late. We can provide progesterone, which is that pregnancy hormone, and counter the effects of the abortion pill. Oftentimes, when taken within the first 24 hours, it successfully reduces undoes the effect of the abortion pill, and that baby can be saved.
Mark, I want to focus a little bit on a stat that you said a little bit earlier. I also use the stat quite a bit about that 62% of women that we know that they already have children, they're moms, and they're having abortions. This CARE kit, chemical abortion recovery and evaluation. Evaluation is a really interesting piece here. So, the first part of it, we're focusing on the baby, that we're trying to recover this baby. Hopefully we're trying to convince her to try a progesterone treatment to maybe even save her baby, maybe even make that decision. But really the evaluation of her health, I think, is really the difference on where we've maybe been previously with the pro-life movement. Do you want to speak to that a little bit about maybe this, maybe she takes the kit, maybe she doesn't choose to do progesterone, maybe she carries through with this abortion. It's a successful abortion in the sense that the baby dies. What is our relationship with her like after that?
We often talk about, even right now, there's this huge opportunity to defund Planned Parenthood right now with this budget bill that's going through. But oftentimes I ask the question, what is the pro-life alternative? Where can we send women that they're actually going to get full life-affirming healthcare? And, we started off many years ago doing, pregnancy help resources and ultrasounds and pregnancy tests. But very quickly, myself, my predecessor, Nydia, really felt like we're barely scratching the surface. This isn't enough. Like, where do we send women for prenatal care to make sure that they have support for their childbirth support? I mean, we've had cases where, we sent women to the local medical resources for that. And those women and those resources oftentimes don't necessarily share our values and send her back to abortion centers, or because of the trauma that she went through in that, for her subsequent pregnancy, was back at the abortion clinic, even after we had that touch point with them. And so, it became very aware that we need healthcare, full women's healthcare. But again, look at the names like Planned Parenthood, the Las Cruces Women's Health Organization, whole women's health. All of these, they imply that they are the voices that speak for women's healthcare. And yet everything that they do, which is almost all abortion, contraception, and now gender ideology, everything they do is about altering and suppressing and destroying the normal healthy functions of a woman's natural body. And now that, these same organizations won't even define what a woman is, and so we need a facility that says we have doctors, we have nurse practitioners, we have nurse midwives that are going to walk alongside you through your fertility, through your pregnancy, through your childbirth, your postpartum time, your motherhood, even all the way through menopause, that you have a place that is going to actually honor and dignify these sacred life-giving powers that you were created this way. This is not a burden. This is not a problem with your body. This is something that's beautiful, and we need to understand it and help you learn it. So this means that we need a full healthcare, because if we really want to replace Planned Parenthood, ultrasounds and pregnancy tests are amazing, and it helps women make life decisions so oftentimes, but that's not enough to fully shut down and replace something like Planned Parenthood. We need women's healthcare. That is how, even today, did Jessica happen to pop on yet? Do we know?
I don't see her. No.
Okay, I know she's got a lot going on. She was actually out on the sidewalk today, outside this Las Cruces Women's Health Organization, and the nurse came out and tried to make the case of like, oh, who are you? You don't have any medical background. Who are you? And we're like, actually, guess what? We've got doctors we work with, we've got nurse practitioners and midwives. Like, we have this support, and that was what changed the conversation. And so we need to be, especially with women who are now being given this abortion pill and just they're being sent home and then send, if you have any problem, go to the ER and lie. That is not healthcare. Like, so where do we send somebody that they can actually talk to a licensed healthcare practitioner who's life affirming? And that's what we're doing at Guiding Star Southwest and all of our sister affiliates around the country.
Well, yeah, and a place for them to tell the truth. And so I wanted to focus on that evaluation piece of it, because what you're really speaking to is that we want an ongoing relationship with you after this, because we believe that you're going to become fertile again, and would like to teach you about your fertility so that you're not shocked next time in an unplanned pregnancy. We'd like to have a more of an upstream relationship with you. I mean, it's a bummer that we're meeting you in a moment of crisis, but we'd love an ongoing relationship with you, and creating that holistic sort of surrounding care model for her. That's what that evaluation is speaking to. Like, we actually care about you.
Yeah, and to help evaluate your health, because now if even some of the women we reached out to who didn't have the time to really engage or follow up because they had to go back to Houston 16 hours away or something like that, they're like, oh my gosh, thank you, like the abortion center, why didn't they care enough to get tell me about this and prepare? So it's telling them that there's a place that cares about you. And yes, of course, we hope that that you reverse the pill, or that you don't make this decision. But if you do, so many abortions are repeat abortions, and we need women to know there's a place you can go so that you can learn and get support to actually understand your fertility. So that, because guess what, if you understand your fertility, chances are you're going to honor your body and your fertility, and you're going to be much less likely to end up in an unexpected, undesired pregnancy in the first place. And making sure that you have a place that has life-affirming prenatal care from that first ultrasound through the birth planning with your doula all the way through your childbirth. And so we absolutely want to help her evaluate her immediate health, because measuring her blood loss and making sure that again, sometimes these chemical abortions are incomplete abortions, which can lead to sepsis. This can lead to infection. Yeah. We want to make sure she knows that she's going to be okay. And now, because she had someone actually help her evaluate and educate her in a way that didn't treat her as just being, like not being able to understand her own body, she knows where to go back next time to evaluate her fertility, her next pregnancy, and her ongoing health.
Well, and I'm even just going to push it a little bit further along the outside of the pro-life, maybe comfort zone or typical space that we're at. But I mean, part of what we're dealing with is that, we do have a very high maternal mortality rate in our country. We do have these sort of like, what do we call them? Like maternal health deserts, like birth deserts, where women are traveling, 60, 100 miles to even give birth someplace, where abortion does become very attractive and very easy in those situations. And so I think pushing it a little bit further and saying, we're going to provide birth services. We're doing the birthing services. I know have birth services on site available now at Guiding Star Southwest. So congratulations
to you
for using your birthing suites.
We have 3 amazing, beautiful birthing suites. We've partnered with local midwives that have come in, and we have so many women who are just awed. They're just blown away. Like, you mean I get to give birth in a place like this? It's because we want a place that speaks to their worth. It's beautiful. It's going to be empowering. And again, if you have an amazing, beautiful birth experience with really good midwives who are going to make sure that there's as little trauma as possible, the next time you're pregnant, you're going to be excited. You're going to be like, oh, wow, I get to go back. I get to go back to that place and have another one of these life-altering, life-defining moments.
Yeah. I mean, so that's really what we're trying to share is just this whole vision. These care kits fit so holistically within all of it, though, because we recognize that what's really happening with an induced abortion, with the chemical abortion pill, is you are giving birth. You are giving birth to a very small, very underdeveloped little person. And so we need to be in the business of birth. We need to know how to deal with birth.
If we're, I've said this a lot, if we are wanting to put ourselves in a position to ask a woman not to have an abortion or not consider an abortion. We are asking her to go through a childbirth. And what are we doing to really help her with that? That there's a baby in there, and that baby is going to come out, and that birth is either going to be a beautiful and joyful birth. It may result in a natural loss situation, which is still a birth, a miscarriage, a natural miscarriage or stillbirth, or an abortion is just a very violent, premature, premeditated birth but oftentimes baby coming out not alive, or sometimes unfortunately in pieces, and that's still a birth in a sense. And so if we want to replace abortion in our culture, we have to do better at birth. Women deserve a beautiful birth experience.
Well, and we're using that as our gala theme this year. Peace on Earth begins with birth. And I know you guys used it a few years ago, and it's actually something that the American Academy of Birth Centers has used. Peace on Earth begins with birth. And we're like, hey, you know what? We agree with you. So, okay, with all of that, we're at 8:00. We're here at the end of this whole thing. So, Mark,
yes,
I'm going to invite you. Actually, all of this has been leading to an announcement, I guess, an invitation here. So I kind of want to just set you up a little bit here to share what we're asking to help make this available and more commonplace in our country. How can everyone help?
So everything that you've heard, all the stories you've heard about what's happening in the Southwest, in El Paso, in our El Paso Center, even in Las Cruces there, it has all been because of this Guiding Star worldview from the Guiding Star Project. And we're learning, we're progressing, we're growing because of our cooperation with our sister Guiding Star centers around the country. And this needs to grow. And Guiding Star Project has a vision of seeing a center like what I've described in El Paso and Las Cruces, in every state, in all 50 states around the nation. Right now, if you ask the question, what is the pro-life alternative to Planned Parenthood? There's really nothing like it. There's thousands of amazing pregnancy centers, but there is no clear. You could go to any city and say, "Where's your local Planned Parenthood?" and you know what to expect. There's a brand. There's a feel. And so we need Guiding Star Project in order to achieve this, to achieve this big goal. And this is your opportunity to be a part of that mission. There's actually been just to help make that possible, just a small handful of donors who have already been convicted of this vision and have seen that this is the solution in a post-Roe America. Nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is doing full, comprehensive, life-affirming healthcare other than the Guiding Star Project. And so they've put together in real short notice a $13,000 matching challenge to double but specifically right now are any new or increased monthly donors, because right now we need the ongoing consistent monthly support. That is truly the lifeblood of successful nonprofit organizations, is those who have the reliable support on a month-to-month basis. Imagine working your job and not knowing how much you were going to make until one time at the end of the year, and trying to budget for the entire year around this unknown number. You can't do it. You can't run a household on that, and you can't run an organization like that. The successful nonprofits that really thrive are the ones that it's because of those consistent monthly donors. So here's what you can do is in the chat somewhere, you should be seeing a link to guidingstarproject.com. You go to that website, there's a donate button that takes you to guidingstarproject.com/donate. If you see that link there, if I can get my screen actually up on the screen for you to see, you'll actually see this is the web page that you'll see when you click on that link. And so at that link, there's several options to donate. When you click donate, that'll take you to the giving form. And so there's an option here to give $50 a month, $100 a month. $50 a month is going to provide 2 care kits at least to these women who have felt they had no other option but to have an abortion, and it's going to give her the open the doors to her to a progesterone treatment to reverse that. $100 is going to help 4 women at least, or 5. I think it's about $20 a kit. So that's 5 women right there that you're going to empower with these care kits, and it goes up from there. Every month, we see these women multiple times a week who need these kits in their hands. So whatever you can afford per month, go ahead and select that. If you can't do the full 50 though, you can go in here and even $5 a month, $10 a month. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, I don't even do I try to avoid now even going to Starbucks because I call it $6 now. So say you give up, say you give one coffee. Give up one coffee a month, give $6 a month. That's actually going to be doubled to $12 a month, and that full annualized amount throughout the year. So if you give, if let's just say you can do $100 a month, multiply that by 12, that's $1,200. You have now the impact of a $2,400 gift because that full annualized amount is being doubled through this. But here's the kicker: is you have to check this box right here that says "Show my support" by making this a monthly donation. If you don't do that, it's just going to be a one-time gift, and you're only going to have the doubling effect happen with this box checked. You go in and fill out the rest of your information. There's an option here to give through your directly through your checking or savings with your like an e-check or the routing and account number. I prefer to do that because then I don't have to worry about or mess with when I'm notorious for losing my debit cards and constantly getting new numbers, or if they expire every couple of years. If you do it just directly through your checking, you don't have to worry about that. If you do it through your credit card, you can fill in that information. And then there's also an option to do Google Pay. Might show Apple Pay if you're on an Apple device. I'm not sure about that. I'm not going to switch over to Apple to find out for you. But there's also running our own local nonprofit. It's like always a huge help too. If you check that box to also cover the transaction fees, that means we get the full 100% of your gift every month. That in this case is going to be doubled. Check that box. Hopefully you're not a robot, and then hit donate. That's going to set up your gift. So that is the process to do this, and all of that again. $13,000 through monthly gifts. Also, if you're an existing monthly donor, you could probably pull my screen down at this point, but if you're already an existing monthly donor, then if you increase your current monthly gift, your monthly gift will now also fall into that matching opportunity to unlock this $13,000 monthly gift. So by either increasing your existing monthly gift, even by an extra $5, $10 a month, or by signing up for a new monthly gift, this is going to unlock that $13,000. And this has huge, again, impact of $26,000 for more care kits, for education, for intro to womanhood classes for these young girls and their moms to go and take, so that these are young girls who are going to be much less likely to end up ever needing or having the conversation about a care kit because they learned about their fertility at a young age. This is going to be more curriculums and spreading across all of our Guiding Star centers. We look at the Guiding Star Tampa now that has just in the last few months started the new birth center in Tampa, Florida, and babies are now being born there. And really, again, the true, I've always said this, the true opposite of an abortion center is a birth center. And so let's make history tonight. Let's fund the future of women's healthcare. But we need you. This is a limited time. We need you to go in and make this new monthly donation. Or if you have an existing monthly donation, there's an email you can see on the screen to email, Mary at theguidingstarproject.com. And she can help you to increase an existing monthly donation. But those commitments to either increase or to put in your new monthly donation needs to happen by the end of day, Monday, June 16th. So if you haven't already, go to guidingstarproject.com, click donate, sign up for that monthly donation, and have twice the impact to truly help moms be heroes and build a fearless future for moms and their families everywhere.
Mark, I always love when you bring us home. You're the best at this. I'm always like, go to the website. Mark is a true expert. And so I'm so grateful to you for being here. I want to thank you from the rest of the Guiding Star family. The directors all met today, and just your generosity and your open sourceness, I guess, with just, this is not your information. This is not something that belongs to Guiding Star Southwest. Like, your openness to share this with our other locations, to really truly train our directors to help everyone understand how to use this, to really share this with the country, as we're working to get this information out there. I just want to thank you. And Jessica as well. I see Jessica just popped in right now. Jessica Sorrentez, we are just signing off right now. We're just wrapping up. Unless we want to give her a second, it's up to you, I guess. We want to hear how it actually is happening on the sidewalk. What do you think?
Is she there?
She's here. Do you want to bring her in?
At this point, if we're at the end of the hour, so if anyone needs to go, they've got all the most important information. Maybe if they want to stick around and hear a story for a couple minutes, we can hear that what happened.
It's the after party.
The after party. So you're not obligated to stick around, but the story is pretty good. I think the admission that Jessica heard today from the abortion facility's own mouth, I think, is worth hearing.
So yes, I want to thank everybody that has to sign off right now here. You only committed to an hour. You're ready to go. It's fine. Put the kids to bed. But if you want to start hearing how this actually works on the sidewalk, we welcome Jessica Fuentes. Are you here, Jessica? Can you hear us okay?
No.
Jessica, are you here?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes, I'm here. I apologize. Can you hear me? It's breaking. It's in and out.
We hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We hear you.
All right.
Briefly,
Okay.
Jessica, just share. I already shared a lot about the CARE kits for the sake of time, but what was the admission you heard from the abortion center today about the CARE kits?
Oh, God, no. Okay, so the clinic worker, not sure who she was, she didn't want to identify herself, came out and said that she was very upset at the fact that we were giving these women CARE kits because it was, and I don't want to misquote, so she said something along the lines of, you are forcing them or making them see that it is a baby when what they need to do is just go ahead and, let me rephrase, they need to be able to use the baby needs to be dumped into the effing toilet and be flushed because that's where it belongs, something along those lines. So she was very upset at the fact that the women were actually making the connection that it was a baby and that they were somehow feeling some sort of way, she said. Not all, but most. So her recommendation was that we stopped making these women see what they were actually doing.
Wow.
Well, and Jessica, one thing that I had wanted to just ask you about a little bit is what has changed since you introduced the CARE kits? Because you guys have been on the sidewalk for, since the Dobbs decision. You've been out there ever since this clinic opened. But what has changed since you introduced the CARE kits?
In a nutshell, and to make it really brief, I think what has changed is it has opened up the door to conversations with these women. Where we were seeing maybe, back in December, there was absolutely no way that anyone was stopping to talk to us. These women have doubled down on their abortion, especially the ones that are traveling from Texas. So they're coming into the abortion clinic in New Mexico with this attitude of like, move out of my way or I will run you over. I did have one say that to me. I will run you over. I have driven from Austin without, nonstop, and I barely made it here to my appointment. You and no one is going to stop me. So there was no conversations being had. There was absolutely no opportunity to talk to them about anything. With the CARE kits, now we're able to show them that, look, we really do care about you. Look, this is what we've prepared for you. So that has given them the opportunity to put their walls down just enough to let us in. Even so much so that we've heard women say, I don't want to be with this guy. My relationship is over. Another one was, unfortunately, she had been raped. Another woman was in a situation where financially, she just didn't think it was a good idea. I haven't heard the whys in years as to why they are there at the abortion clinic. So the fact that they're sharing with us and that they're letting us into their personal life enough to say, it's this, literally this Saturday, this girl was crying because the guy that is the father of the baby, she wanted to break up with him, and they had a huge misunderstanding. It was a fight. And they ended up going to Guiding Star. And in 2.5 hours of counseling, they decided that they were both being very irrational and what they needed was time to talk. So they walked away parenting. There was a save last week. So this woman, that would have never stopped to talk to us because we had the opportunity to share with her that we had this kit for her because we care. That led it opened the doors to more conversations. And then when she put her wall down, conversation was done. Both of them are keeping the baby, and they are now going to be with our counselor for couples counseling this coming week on Thursday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and I think what you're pointing to right there is so often abortion becomes the solution, the quick solution to a very deep root problem that's really not about the baby. Very seldom is it about the baby.
Oh, 100%. And if you give them enough time, which is what I was trying to tell the abortion worker today, here's the problem is they come into the abortion clinic. You are not spending the time with them. You're selling them a service. In your mind, it's a solution. But the reality is you're not taking any time to find out why they're there and what have they thought about. And so when you tell me that you're pro-choice, you're not giving these women a choice. You're selling them an abortion.
Yeah.
Because you have financial gain. Anyway, yeah, so it's just an awesome opportunity to be able to talk to the women again. And that's what we're noticing more than anything, is we're able to communicate with them.
And that's really what this has always been about. We've always been about, in the sense of pro-choice, pro-life, like we do care about them having choices. We want them to be informed choices. We really want to have these conversations. We want to listen to you and talk to you and give you a chance. I think the care kit communicates that pretty nicely. So, Mark, anything else you want to hear from Jessica? I know you guys have been dealing with this pretty hands-on for the past couple months.
No, I just continue to pray and you're hearing the impact. I mean, just in the last few weeks, we've seen more abortion pill reversals than the entire previous year combined. So this is working. This is opening up doors. We've had more women changing their minds than just ever in the last 3 years. So you can help make this possible again through that monthly support between now, but by midnight, June 16th, again, go to guidingstarproject.com, help to unlock this $13,000 opportunity that's going to put care kits in the hands of more and more women to help either save more lives or at least dignify those children that are lost, and make sure that those women get the support to know they don't ever have to do this again. That's going to change the culture for more women knowing these places exist.
Yeah. Jessica, anything you want us to hear? Any closing words? I know you've been out on the hot sidewalk all day.
You know what? Just that we need more people to be aware of just how much we really need to show the women that we're there for them, because that's what they need to, to realize is that we care. We're not just there for the baby. We are there for them. And if they give us the opportunity to have these conversations, we know for a fact that this will prevent future abortions. So I believe that this is just the beginning of, getting into the opportunity to have these conversations with women to help them realize that it is an actual baby and to give them the opportunity to mourn. And I do believe that those are the first steps in helping us become a abortion-free nation.
In a country where abortion is no longer equated with healthcare, and that is what we are all working on together. We are so grateful to everyone who has joined us tonight. I see some of the comments coming in. Thank you, Alexander. Everyone else who's been commenting in the sections tonight, we're just so grateful for your prayers, your continued support. Please spread the word. The recording of this webcast will be available tomorrow. If you want to share it with somebody if you think this is something really innovative, something that you think needs to come to your community, we would really welcome those conversations with you. We, of course, are trying to bring the Guiding Star worldview to every community, this holistic woman's wheel, that wheel of health, that whole life wheel, because we don't love meeting a woman in a time of crisis for the first time. We know it's necessary because they need our help, because they've been lied to and they don't know what's about to happen. And we're willing to meet you there. But would much rather meet women when they're 9 years old and their eyes are still shining and their body is still beautiful and life is still an optimistic, beautiful place to be in this world. That's when we want to meet you, and we want to shape your understanding of yourself, that you are good, that you are not the problem, you are not broken. Your beautiful, healthy, fertile female body is exactly what our culture needs. And so we want to share that message with more people. But we will do what we need to do to meet you where you're at. And so these care kits are, it's absurd times that we live in, that this is where we might meet you, but we're going to just share the truth with you no matter what. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please join along with us. We would appreciate your support now more than ever at this very critical time as we redefine women's healthcare together. So thank you to everyone for being here. God bless you.